So, Tuesday Night Live. Hey guys, we go live every Tuesday night, just about every Tuesday night. I do my best to be here Tuesday night at 7 o'clock to share a little bit with you guys on how my week's going, what I'm up to, share whatever you guys want to talk about. Um, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Well, for one, I struggle to be consistent sometimes. And I've found that if I make a commitment, if I purpose in my heart to do something, it's a lot easier for me to show up. So, it's kind of like writing down goals. They say if you write down a goal, you're more likely to actually meet that goal. So, anyways, it is good for me to have that scheduled time and to have some accountability when I know that people are here waiting, depending on me. It helps me to be consistent. So that's why I do it. It's easier to have these conversations when it's a conversation. It's kind of hard when it's just me talking to my phone. But, I know that there's people that tune in who, for whatever reason, they don't comment, and that's fine. But I say that to say, if you comment and give me more to talk about, I'll share more. Because sometimes it's hard to know what exactly to talk about or what to share, because I don't want to waste words. I used to like to talk, and I still like to talk, but I talk a lot less. Especially, yeah. So, anyways, what are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight, we're going to talk about being a man of your word. Just because it so happens that I literally pulled up to my shop 5 minutes before this live had to start, because I was supposed to meet somebody at 4:30 in town. However, they didn't show up. And anyways, got me to thinking about that. I was thinking last night, I woke up in the middle of the night, could not fall back asleep, and I was thinking about what I want to talk about today. And I had another subject I was going to talk about, but it so happened as the day progressed and as I was slightly annoyed at the fact that, at the inconvenience of somebody not being there when I needed them to be there. Anyways, enough about that. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Do your best to follow through and to be a man of your word, a woman of your word. And that's the other thing, is I try not to commit to stuff anymore, because I know how easy it is to not make a commitment. So I like to not pin myself down to the words of my mouth that I speak rashly. Yeah. So anyways, we have been busy. My wife raises some corgis, and we've been rehoming some corgis, meeting people, doing all that kind of fun stuff, and then have company, things like that. So, who's in here tonight? Let's see if there's any chats. I don't know how to open up the chat. I think it just pops up, but they're here. Welcome to your live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. Yeah. So, probably not going to go real long, because we have some company. Company's coming back. They're in town. I was going to repair a damaged knife, but it's not here right now. So, not going to be repairing a damaged knife right now. Devin. Howdy, sir. What else? I was really hoping to, talk to a buddy of mine, Kyle Daly, today. He got a bunch of diamond belts, and Kyle is working on, Kyle's got a podcast called The Knife Perspective, and Kyle is working on putting together a spreadsheet of speeds and feeds for belts. And especially working with MagnaCut and some of these harder steels, there's a lot to having, first, the right belt, but second, the right speed, which I've always, when I started out, I ran belts pretty slow. As I got to making knives, I run the machines faster and faster. To most of the time, I run my grinder full tilt, just trying to get knives done. But full speed is not always the right speed. So, ironically enough, with some of these harder steels, you get glazing of your belts, and there's a sweet spot for the speed. So he's working on a chart to help just teach people about speeds, types of belts, types of steel, and it's going to be really helpful. Kyle's done a lot for the knife community. He's written some books, taught some classes. He is a very generous guy to share his information, because there are a lot of people who, it used to be with knife making, there's a lot of trade secrets and not sharing of secrets, like how you do stuff. And I understand that mentality, but I also understand helping others and what's the word I want? If you learn some knowledge that nobody else has, it's easy to think like, oh, I don't want to share this knowledge because it gives me an advantage, right? Or it's profitable, whatever. And business gets to be kind of, what's the, like, dog eat dog, or, it gets to be this competition of, well, I want to survive, so I need to do better than everybody else and not help anybody. But there is a lot of good in sharing information, helping people, and a lot of times that actually does a person better in the long run. There's a common, sometimes what you think would make sense doesn't make sense. Sometimes if you keep information back, and the real thing is, like, right, so let's say you die and that information dies with you. What I kind of like about, which I think I guess it's probably, I've heard the Japanese believe in passing knowledge on and making the generations coming later smarter, you know, actually increasing knowledge. However, I also know that there's a lot of people that don't share knowledge, you know, even Japanese. So I think it's just a societal thing, right? Like there's people who will freely share knowledge and people who want to keep back knowledge. At the end of the day, right? Like people have bills to pay. They have their own things that they have to be concerned with. And, you know, you can't just give everything away for free as much as you'd like to. So, I get it. Anyways, so it was good talking to Kyle. Had to cut our conversation short. But, yeah, that's what we talked about. Do some checking. What else? Devin, you got anything you want to talk about? What have you been working on? Been making any knives? Been sharpening any knives? Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about in the middle of the night, I was thinking about incorporating your children into your job, into your work, working from home. I've been running my 3D printer ragged. Sweet, dude. What you been printing? I have a 3D printer, and it's been sitting. I need to get it going. I really try not to. There's definitely applications where I think 3D printing shines, but I don't want to just print stuff to be printing stuff either. So I haven't found something that I really want to keep printing, just whatever. Gumball machines. There you go. It's not your fault. My wife used a 3D printer and it's spaghettied, and I need to figure out why, or figure out what I need to do to. It's bothering me that I feel like anyways. So I need to figure out what I need to do to it to get it running. I'm sure it's something little. I've got a Bamboo Labs something A136C4 3PO something. If you have a PEI piece, wipe it with alcohol. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was moisture. I don't think it's moisture because I'm printing ABS. Is it ABS? PLA? PLA. I think it's PLA. Yeah, which I don't think it's very prone to humidity issues. But we're very humid here. So, I don't know. What else? I keep thinking I gotta quit saying Oh, children and working. Yeah. I think a lot of people think that they want to work from home or work with their kids, or it's easy to think that. I want to, but it's also an interesting thing how to effectively incorporate the children into your work, into the business, especially in kind of what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that a little bit in the middle of the night, and I definitely like to watch other families and see how, like, what type of, how other parents incorporate their children in the work that they're doing, and do it in a way too, like, that makes your children enjoy the work. And um, I guess one thing a friend of mine recently was asking me, he was asking me what drives me to work the way that I do. Which in some ways, I work nonstop. I work hard, but in other ways, I definitely have seasons where I work harder than others. And I don't know. It's interesting because what drives people to do what they do, and a lot of it, some of it is what's the word I'm looking for? Passion, or things that you're interested in. But that only gets you so far. And sometimes it's the need, it's the hunger, it's the deadline, right? So I work really good when I have a deadline, kind of like these Tuesday Lives, when there's that deadline that you have to hit. It helps you to get done. And I've heard of people who intentionally put themselves under a lot of pressure to perform. And I don't necessarily desire to do that, like heap tons of burden on myself just to perform. I think that'd be a pretty stressful life. But I understand why somebody would do that. That is true. Pressures make diamonds, but it also squishes bugs. No. Yeah. And so anyways, I don't know. I definitely have, sometimes the pressure can cripple you, right? Like there's that good amount of pressure. There's the proper amount of pressure to place on one. But then if you exceed that pressure, which they can bear, you end up crushing them. So anyways, when I started doing line work, when I was younger, I changed jobs frequently and I did a lot of things, and I could do that. But once I started line work and I was in an apprenticeship and kind of on probation and different things, I couldn't just quit. And I had to stick it out, and I had to get past, there's definitely days where I wanted to quit, or definitely days that I just got fed up with the situation at work, because it wasn't a very good work environment. My foreman and I did not get along. In fact, he told me one day, he says, "You don't get it, I don't want you here." And I said, "You don't get it, I'm not going anywhere. So if you don't want to work with me, you got to quit." And then sure enough, after I finally started doing the knife thing, it wasn't probably 2 years, 3 years later, and he retired. And I was like, man, all those troubles would have been over. But that wasn't why I pursued the knife thing anyways. But I definitely thought to myself, man, why couldn't he have quit a little bit sooner than that? But anyways, what else? So yeah, I was thinking about that last night. I woke up with just thinking about, incorporating your children in your work, teaching them how to have that drive, finding what interests them and what drives them. My son, one of my boys, is building a Indian longhouse, and he's getting cowhides and tanning them, and he's working. He's working hard, and it's cool to see him really put that much effort into a project. And we've had 90+ degrees days and high humidity, and he's out there scraping cowhides and tanning leather and doing all this work. And I definitely I definitely don't care that much to do that myself, but he is all in, so that's been fun to watch. But all children are different, all people are different. What motivates people to do things are different, and how there's different tactics to motivating different people. So discipline will carry you further than anything else. Running when you don't want to, when it's nasty out. Yeah, and that is, I think, that is just so true. And the problem is our ability to force somebody else to do something they don't want to do is limited. And it kind of goes back to a lot of people. My parents were a lot rougher on me than I am my kids, and that type of thing. But a lot of that shapes who you become and who you are. Last night I was watching they had a Last Soul Ultra, I think, in Germany. And it's a last man standing ultra race where I think it was like a 4.1 mile loop. They had to run. They had 1 hour to run it, and at the end of the hour, you started the loop again. That went on for over 80 hours, over 4 days. Mark Dowdle, is that his name? Ended up winning. And last night it was getting intense. It was pretty fun to watch. In fact, I was going to go to bed. I ended up staying up a little later than I wanted to. And we were watching last night, and he went out. His competitor, there was only 2 guys left, Mark and another guy from Germany. The other guy ran his lap fast, came back so that he could get some sleep, and I think they said he got like 13 minutes of sleep. And so he was getting ready. He got back on the line, and Mark came in like 2 minutes till the buzzer went off. So he had like little to no time to grab a bite to eat, grab some drinks, freshen up, and get back on the line. And then when they took back off, it was pretty funny. The guy that took a nap, he went out fast, and Mark was right on his tail, and he was running right behind him. And they took off, and they ran probably almost a mile. And the guy must have been annoyed that Mark was right on his tail, because he just abruptly stops. And I don't remember if he moved out of the way, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And Mark took a knee or started stretching or something. And then the guy, I don't know, they probably exchanged some words, and the guy started running again, and Mark just took off running right behind him again. And that happened 2 or 3 times until his competitor just it almost looked like he tripped, but I don't think he tripped. But then next thing you know, he's laying on his back, just on the course and just sitting there. Well, then this time Mark starts walking kind of down the course, and after a while he starts running. The guy just laid there on his back for a couple minutes, and he ended up getting back. I think he did that just because he didn't want Mark drafting off of him. He didn't want him right behind him. And then Mark finished that course at like 38 minutes, which is fast after, 4 days of running, very minimal sleep, just incredible. And then that other guy came in, I think around 42, 43 minutes. And so he got rested up. And that was about the time I was getting ready to go to bed. I was like, problem is so a lot of these last man standing ultras, that you really want to pace yourself. So they're not going fast. They're taking their time, because when you really like start running fast, you're going to break down faster. And so I knew that all out mile that guy did, or 4 mile, that all out loop, even though he got rest to do that another loop the next hour, like that has to like dramatically drain you. Some people didn't like that Mark was doing that. They felt like it was too aggressive, or not really, whatever. But I don't know. I think it's all part of tactics. Like when you're running a race, the goal is to win, and that could be up to people's opinion on whether or not that was a good way to do it or not. But it was a good race to watch. It's just unbelievable. I think they ran, it was over 350 miles, and it's mind-boggling what people can do when they put their mind to it. And yeah, so anyways, that's I don't know if you've watched any of that ultra type running stuff. I think that it's neat to see what people can do. Also, I just wonder, like, at some point it kind of gets a little crazy. Like, what kind of damage are you doing to your body? Sleep deprivation, and adrenal fatigue, and all the things. But I would have never guessed that you could push yourself that far. And the crazy thing is it's only going to get worse. Like, we're only going to see these ultra races get further and further. Like I was telling my wife, like, you see steroids and different things in the pro sports type stuff. And it's like, what point do you stop? Or if somebody's competitive enough, they're going to do things to push themselves further and further. And even just like, I feel like with the more and more knowledge people have on, and the more things that we can measure, carb intake and stuff, we're seeing records be broken. And it'll be interesting just to see how far people push themselves. But crazy stuff. So Mark is an incredible athlete, and there was a lot of big names at that event. They started out with 160 runners. So it was fun. Even my wife, she got into it last night. She's like, this morning we went to watch to see who won. And unfortunately, like, the live stream they took down, like, it didn't save the live stream, so you can't see, we couldn't watch the rest of the race. But it was really neat too, because they had a thermal drone so they could follow the runners and you could see them on the course. A lot of these ultra races, they have cameras set up on the course and they'll switch from camera to camera, but it was kind of neat to get a bird's eye view of the runners, especially at night. So pretty wild, pretty cool, quite the achievement. Check it out. Let me know what you think. So anyways, I'm gonna go grill some steaks, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Feel free to drop in the comments anything you guys would like to talk about, and we'll see you next Tuesday. You guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. Smash the thumbs up if you like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.